All right. So let me start to paint this picture for you. I'm with a group and we're at, let's say, like an adventure park. And there are these oversized gigantic swings where the swings go up really high. So in order to actually get going on them, you have to actually have a person like propelling you back and pushing you and getting the swing going. So there was one of the guys that was working, being one of the pushers. Um, he told one of the girls in our group that she was so fat that she was going to break the swing. And that's super disrespectful, right? It's insensitive. He should have known not to say something like that. Like, it's just, you just don't say that to somebody, right? And so the girl she was very upset about it. You know, she was affected by it for at least the next hour, I would say. I don't know how far, this went with her. She did mention that it was a sensitive area for her, especially because weight had been a challenge. So now let me continue to paint this picture for you and ask you if it changes anything. This incident actually occurred in Bali, Indonesia. And in Bali, I can't remember having seen even one person that was overweight. And after speaking with, some of the locals and people who were more familiar with that part of the country, being overweight is actually an indication that you have wealth or you have money. The fact that you can afford the luxury of eating enough to get to that size. Um, on top of that, Bali is a pretty poor country in terms of money and the value of their currency as it relates to many other places in the world. So what one of the locals was also informing me of is that most people who live in that country have not, or Bali in particular, I'm not sure about the entire country, but they have not traveled beyond that country. They just can't afford to do it. So we all know that it's a given that when we go to different countries and different parts of the world, sometimes even different states within our own country, there are different customs and ways of being that have different associations, right? So let me ask this question now and see if it changes anything and how disrespectful and how insensitive you still might think this individual is, because him, being young, living in Bali, he has an association where overweight is not considered an insult, but most likely a compliment, because it's saying that you have money and that you're well off. Um, and him the only interaction that he's having with the outside customs of the world are, tourists from all over the world. How is he to know that commenting on someone's weight would be offensive? How does he know better? How does he think that and know that that's something that would be disrespectful and very hurtful to an individual from another part of the world, even though that's all he knows? And I bring up this point because the particular woman who experienced this was very, very affected by it. And I don't know how long it lasted for her internally, but at least what I could see on the outside and the discussions that we have, it was, at least an hour of an effective state of being, of hurt, of feeling insulted, and of blame and accusation of this individual who made the comments. And so what I would challenge you to think about is, to what degree are we holding someone else accountable for making us feel the way that we do? And also reframing that to, how much power are we going to allow someone else over us to make us feel a certain way? And I have really developed a passion for this. I'm calling this personal power versus personal responsibility, because it is my true belief that we have a choice. You can either choose that some other individual or some external circumstances has the power to change your mental and emotional state, which in turn changes the trajectory of that moment for you, your day, or even your life, depending on how deep it goes. We're giving somebody else says something to us, somebody else does something to us, and we decide that it's their responsibility to not, so that we don't feel, or to do so that we do feel. But when we do that, we're giving someone else the power to control our state of being. Now just let that sink in for a minute, because we're saying that if that person does, it says X, I'm going to feel like this. And they should know, and they should be mindful that what they say and do makes me feel like this, and they shouldn't do it, right? Now, you can also make the choice and say, no, I have the power to make myself feel. Meaning, yes, as much as it sucks, I just made myself feel shitty, right? At the same time, and acknowledging your own responsibility, there's that word that you just make your own self feel shitty, you also have the choice to make yourself feel loved, to make yourself feel empowered, and to make yourself be unmoved by something that somebody else says that we're expecting everybody else to have the same definition and the same associations that we have, and to intuitively tap into how we're feeling and how we should feel. And bring this back home, bring this to our country, bring this to your job, bring this to your family and your friends, your enemies, whoever, who say something that you feel that they shouldn't say, or do something, or say, feel that it's something that they shouldn't do, and now it's affected your entire day, and you're pissed off, and you're hurt, and you're feeling this way. But if you make the choice to say, I know my value, and I know my worth, and I am not going to allow myself to feel this way because of whatever this individual has going on, see how different that choice makes you feel. And if there are people out there, yes, that do things specifically to hurt and specifically for malicious intent, that should make it even easier. Because when you know that someone else is coming for you, when you know someone else is intentionally trying to hurt you, then that's all the more reason to know they are intentionally trying to take your power. So you should consciously already know, like, hey, no, you're not getting it. Sorry. I own my own power, but that's your choice. So you can choose either. But next time something happens where you feel like you're disrespected, or something external happens that creates a change, an undesirable change in your mood, don't give your power away, guys. Like, own on your power, and if something is not true to you, let it go. Throw it away. Your peace of mind and your happiness is more important than anything or anybody else can try to do to take that away from you. So yes, it's disrespectful, and yes, you should have known better. And yes, it shouldn't be that way, because you get to own your own power and not let anything else take that away. But in order to own your own personal power to the fullest, you have to be willing to take personal responsibility for what happens to you. And you have to be able to represent what happens to you as a reflection of what's going on within you, as opposed to making what's happening within you be a product and a result of what happens outside of you. Because once you put the blame on something that's outside of you, that means that you no longer have the power to change it. And like a spirit that's haunting you from body to body, it doesn't matter if you get rid of that one person or get rid of that external circumstance, because all it takes is that other person to push that button, to do something disrespectful that hits that spot for you, for them to take your power too. So you have that choice to own your own power and take personal responsibility. Whenever you feel bad, whenever you don't feel the best, own it. Own it for allowing yourself to feel that way, and then change it. Because by taking that personal responsibility, you now have the personal power.